Broadcasting from high atop a national monument in Rapid City, South Dakota, it is the Mount Rushmore podcast. Woohoo! I am your host, Jeff, and I am joined as always by my good friends, Richard.
Hello.
And Michael.
Howdy.
Richard and Michael, they like to debate and deliberate the most ubiquitous of any given topic. And this week, I have chosen the topic, and that topic is the Mount Rushmore of Italy. My wife and I are planning a trip to Italy this summer. And
really?
Yes,
Fun.
I'm so excited about it. And I have no requisites or prerequisites, or she's doing all the planning. And she's been there twice before, maybe 3 times. And anything I do will be so Italian that I don't even care what we do. It's just, I want to eat spaghetti.
You want to get on a Vespa?
I want to get on a Vespa.
Get that Vespa on a Lambretta.
That's right. I don't even know what you're talking about. I think these are scooters. And I'm reading all the travel books and things like that. We could just go to an Olive Garden for 5 days. I wouldn't know the difference.
Have you gone to like BuzzFeed's like top 50 ways to hold up the Leaning Tower of Pisa?
I'm excited about doing that. Oh my God. So, yes.
Oh, what does Retro Batman gonna do? Is he gonna save that tower from falling down? Is this one of Riddler's tricks?
But you know, those and doing some reading about ancient Rome and doing all that kind of stuff has been really interesting and compelling. And then my wife was also 1/4 Italian, which increases based on her proximity to a meatball. So if she's next to a meatball, then she's 150% Italian. So Italy has always been a culture I'm attracted to. So, but I don't really know anything about it. But I wanted to engage and challenge you guys with the Mount Rushmore of Italy.
Is it Italy or Italians?
Italians.
Okay.
Sorry, it's Italians. Italians, a very distinguished people. And Richard, you are going first because you're the most Italian person in this room. And I want to know, just by a nod or a shake of the head, are there any suggestions that aren't Ninja Turtles? All right. Okay.
I mean, you know.
All right. We're going into it. Okay.
Ninja Turtle by proxy.
Okay. All right. Richard, as the reigning Italian, buongiorno.
Buongiorno. So my first choice is Leonardo da Vinci.
Also on my list.
Also on my list.
Good.
In the 4th position on my list.
You got to tell us how to do the points for that.
It's 2 points. It's
No,
one,
it'd still be 2 points
2 points
for both of us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Do it.
Little
Do
to
it.
no idea, but yeah, absolutely.
Doppio. It's a doppio. Okay, why Leonardo? Other than
A true Renaissance man.
True. Yeah.
Honk, honk, honk.
Yeah.
Get it. I just wanted someone who captured the spirit of the Renaissance. Mm-hmm. And I think when I think Renaissance, I think Da Vinci.
Yeah.
I think the era of these people who were, just polymaths and could do multiple things incredibly well.
My favorite version
Yeah.
of Leonardo is like young Leonardo, when he just wore like leather jackets and linen shirts up to his navel. It was just like kind of swarthy. I like that
Are
Leonardo.
you thinking of the Renaissance Festival, Leonardo?
Oh, never mind. Different. I'm thinking of a different Leonardo I met at a Renaissance festival. Okay. He was showing me how to do something with a wooden sword with some grog.
Yikes.
So the man was. Do you believe that due to the era being a place where so much was yet to be discovered in terms of all these different scientists that were burgeoning, like there was a lot of knowledge that had existed previously, but we were kind of relearning all of this, and there was a rebirth of knowledge and interest in science. Do you think he, like a guy like Benjamin Franklin, was at the intersection of opportunity and his abilities, or do you think, like I think of him as just an extraordinary, brilliant person who would have found he would be Stephen Hawking if he was alive today in all different ways?
I like the way you put it. I think like brilliant, but also like right place, right time. Like he was.
Yeah, I think it's both.
Yeah.
Really.
But I mean, you put him 100 years earlier. Would there have been that 100 years extra of learning to go into it that would have birthed this person, or that he would have had these same ideas? Maybe in a certain sense, would he have pushed the Renaissance up a little?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
One of the ways I've heard genius described is in the context of an individual who can draw from one observation suppositions about how another thing works. So if Leonardo would draw studies of dissected plants and the ways pollen or sap goes from inside of a tree branch, and then draw suppositions about the vascular system of the human body based on that, and then prove them to be mostly true. So I find that amazing curiosity that he had, and the ability to have a hunch based on. No, that's a different.
That's Columbo is who you're thinking of.
Just one more thing.
I was thinking of the
Victor Hugo.
The Victor.
So that I think is this. He wasn't only polymath then. There were a lot of people who were great at multiple art forms and things like that.
Right.
But yeah, I think he is very representative of the rebirth of an interest in science and learning and art and all that stuff, but also his ability to draw from one into the other.
Yeah, draws one hell of a horse.
Guys,
He's a good horse drawer too.
I'm sorry. I feel like I just farted all over.
No,
your
I think you ended up speaking for both of us better than either of us ever
Exactly.
really could. It was like,
If you could do that for the rest of the episode,
it's going to be a short 13 and a half minute episode. It's
Okay,
awesome.
well, I'm sorry. I don't mean to fart
You're-
all over that.
You're beating yourself up for just expressing thoughts fluidly and cleverly. Don't worry about it. I think Leonardo too is just, is he more famous for being an inventor or for being an artist or for being just a catch-all Renaissance man? I mean, his the Salvador Mundi painting of his sold recently for $430 million.
What?
And
And Tex Jones' comic character just appeared.
and that is just, it's just an outstanding acknowledgement of the person's fame and importance within the world from just putting a monetary value on it.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, he is recognized by the world at large as being the most important artist.
Yeah.
And that's a very interesting, like, art is one of those subjective things that its value only as much as someone is willing to put a value on it. Mm-hmm. And the fact that this one individual in, 900 years later, when was 1300s?
1500.
1452 to 1519. So 500, he died 500 years ago this year. That is...
R.I.P., bro.
Yeah.
I still feel it.
Pour one out for Leonardo. What did he drink? Just wine.
Right. All the time from dawn to dusk. I think it's amazing, too, the amount of scientific discovery he was able to do and not run afoul of a pope at any point. So it seems like all those guys were discovering, when it came to observations of the celestial things that were close to where God lived up in the sky.
Yeah, popes got mad all the time.
Yeah, that's when the popes be getting mad. So good for you, Leonardo. And he was from Vinci. His name wasn't DiVinci.
He's named after the code, I believe.
The Da Vinci Code, yeah.
Yeah.
Leonardo di Ser Piero da Vinci.
Ah.
I don't know what di Ser Piero means. You're going to Italy. You tell us.
I'll figure it out.
We're going to send you with a list of notes. Find out what this means.
Where does Chef Boyardee live? Okay, so Richard chose Leonardo. It was one of Michael's picks and one of mine as well, but Michael will pick his second one.
Marco.
Ding, 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 ding.
Marco who?
That's the first one on Jeff Hopkins' list.
Anybody?
Polo!
Yay!
Is that the biggest injustice in the world? This amazing navigator
we
celebrate by getting lost in the pool.
A pool game. I was reading about Marco Polo, and a lot of his work, we talked about just Leonardo's work was built on everyone that came before him to a certain extent and him rediscovering. Marco Polo, too. His dad and his uncles were all famous explorers.
Right? Yeah.
And
when he was trying to find Genghis Khan or Kublai Khan.
Kublai Khan. And then when he was 17, he went off with his dad.
Oh.
And they explored for 24 years and then came back and he was thrown in jail.
Wait, so it's like if your dad had a Ready Rooter truck and you just have a Ready Rooter truck, but people celebrate you for it?
Marco Polo was most famous for if he had a Ready Roto truck, he wrote down everything on the invoice. He wrote down everything that happened.
Oh, okay,
he was not only a famous explorer, but he documented the explorations like no one ever really did. People kind of went out from Europe and Italy to China and to the Mongol Empire, and then they came back and they traded goods and stuff. But he kind of wrote out and was like, "This is what we actually did."
He's the one who said, they got this stuff called noodles over there.
He's got the receipts!
We should bring it to Italy and call it spaghetti!
He was the Hunter S. Thompson of his
The gonzo journalist. Yeah. Okay, cool. Richard, was that on your list?
No, it was not.
Okay. All right, so Richard, your second choice is what?
My second choice is the big fella. The big guy.
Oh.
Big beardy. Big old McBeardy face.
Beardy face?
Mr. Luciano Pavarotti.
Oh, yay, cool.
AKA Beardy McBeardy face.
Beardy McBeardy face.
Well, McBeardy face, that makes me think that he's like Irish or like Scottish. McBeardy?
McBeardy, I would think
the
it was
McBeardies,
Scottish,
yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be Mac.
D-Beardy.
Yeah.
He's D-Beardy.
Thank you very much.
Why'd you pick this guy?
Perhaps
other than you got a big beard.
We have similar shaped heads.
You just
kind of football shaped.
Just powerful stature.
That's
and
true.
A operatic voice. Your voice is so pretty when you sing.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Jeff. I chose him because I think I wanted a representative of this great Italian art form.
Yeah.
Opera. And Pavarotti. When I think of opera, I just think, I think pretty much anyone of our generation, that's like literally probably the first thing that pops in their head other than that Bugs Bunny episode, cartoon where he's at the Hollywood Bowl.
Oh, sure. That one's great.
Yeah. So
let's spend the next 20 minutes talking about
that.
about that one.
Was he the greatest tenor of all time? I don't know. I don't know anything.
He needed two other tenors to really make it big, though.
Right.
He's a third of a great tenor.
He was also a film actor.
In a very bad movie.
Like Placido Flamingo didn't do romantic comedies, did he? Like he didn't
try.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like Flamingo didn't try. I mean, I guess Pavarotti tried and failed. Mm-hmm. If you ever, I know there was recently a How Did This Get Made episode on Yes, Giorgio.
Yeah.
And it is, I remember watching it like years ago, like it was on HBO or something. It was El Stinko.
Yeah.
You know what? Opera isn't something that you just kind of try at a whim. Acting, you can be like, okay, I'm a famous singer. I'm a famous opera singer.
Right.
Yeah, I'll give acting a try. No one does the reverse. You have to be someone that has the pipes, has spent their time learning, like your daughter almost has gone at opera camp, right?
Yes.
You have to work at opera. No one's just like, what are we going to do now? Opera?
Yeah.
Do a little opera today? Okay. All right, going to jump into opera.
Yeah, just do, yeah. Yeah, I was thinking either rap or opera. Which one should I go with?
I think also their form of performance is maybe the most athletic, other than, say, dance, but you have to project enough volume to fill out those houses because until recently, I don't think they've had amplification. So you're performing a role, you're doing this physical feat, which is pretty outstanding, and you're doing it in 3 or 4 different languages, right? Some of them Italian, German,
sure.
And sometimes
French.
there's a wascally wabbit that's just trying to get up in your face.
Yeah, that was such a good episode.
I would also say that the fact that he was even considered for a romantic comedy and he projected this romantic image, this masculine romantic image, showed his skills as an actor because the dude is ugly.
Yes, I mean
Yeah.
it is a matter of charisma
Yeah.
versus looks, and certainly that was kind of my point. You can argue whether or not he was musically the greatest tenor of all time.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's much of a question who is the most charismatic tenor, certainly of his time.
Yeah.
And yeah, to your point, he's the one that they chose to try to make a romantic lead.
Yeah.
Whether or not that obviously it didn't work, but and also I also chose him because I think he is the perfect example of the artistic diva. And I think that's very much a common thing within opera.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that was recognized. He was somebody who had the ludicrous backstage demands, and I will not have any of these blue M&Ms.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dom DeLuise could have been him in a biopic maybe back in the day.
We've really missed out on that opportunity.
Just looking at a picture of the two together, and
a picture of them together.
Yeah, he could pull it off.
Yeah.
I bet he could pull off
for sure.
You just do a backing vocal.
Or is that Paul Prudhomme? Are we sure?
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so we are at our halftime, I believe.
Oh, thankfully.
And at this point, we want you to do us a favor and download, rate, and review past episodes. And then you can do that on Stitcher. You can do that on iHeartRadio. You can do that on iTunes. So the whole review part is really helpful to us because whatever you write goes into that kind of search cloud and might help other people find this podcast if they are of like mind as you. There's also the opportunity to help shape the show and suggest future episodes by joining us out on social media. You can go to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and you can comment and get in the dialogue with us on what you think of previous episodes, choices that we made that you didn't like, or future topics. People who've done that in the past have ended up being on the show. It's not a must. You don't have to, but you could. And supporting podcasts in general is great, and you probably do it already. But if you don't know about this one coming up that we're about to book promo for, you like it.
Hi, I'm Tyler.
And I'm Brian.
And we're starting a new music-focused podcast called The Discographers. For our first 10-part series, we'll focus on Trent Reznor and his band 9 Inch Nails.
We will explore the personal story of his career and look at his music on a technical level.
Check us out on Twitter @DiscographerPod for details.
And we're back. Guys, I have to confess, I brought a president with me. Actually, he's not a president. He's a prime minister. Hello,
Winston
everyone.
Churchill?
Hello, everyone. It's me, Silvio Berlusconi. How are you doing? I am the largest media conglomerate owner of all these different things, and I want to say you're welcome for inventing the idea of your next president, Donald Trump. That's right. If I can be a successful businessman who engages prostitute every time I go to sleep and who has fake hair, that is how Donald Trump got this idea. 3 times I am prime minister.
How do you say thank you in Italian?
Grazie. De nada. Okay, guys, I'm back.
Hey,
It's
Jeff.
What's been happening?
We had a very international,
Oh, like McKinley or something like that?
Yeah.
Like a president?
Yeah. It was McKinley.
Oh, okay.
He was a great guy.
Michael, what's your third choice?
Enzo, Anselmo, Giuseppe, Maria, Ferrari.
Whoa, cool.
When I think of a more modern Italian person, you think of someone that's kind of brash, has a lot of confidence, kind of a certain area of fuck you-ness. And Ferrari certainly was a confident, brash, fuck you at all.
Yeah.
He was the living embodiment of one of his own quotes. If you can dream it, you can do it. I guess as long as you can afford a Ferrari.
Right.
Because that's a very expensive car. He It's funny looking back at old pictures of people in race cars from the 1910s and 20s and 30s. They just look like it looks crazy. It looks like, what are you doing getting in this tin box driving as fast as you can?
They're all death traps.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Looks like an iron lung with wheels on it. Yeah.
Turn of the century, even past turn of the century, 1930s race car drivers. That looks like insane. I mean, maybe not as insane as whatever Chitty Chitty Bang Bang was.
Right.
And those types of cars.
Or
but
the wacky races.
it seemed like...
Or like the Little Rascals, the thing that they made out of orange crates, slap some baby carriage wheels on it.
But he really took the idea of racing to a new level, especially racing and enraging competitors. He made enemies out of everyone that he kind of raced against.
Oh.
He started off with... I have it written down. He started off racing for Fiat and Alfa Romeo, and then he later broke off to have his own race team in the 30s, and eventually, by the end of the 40s, he had his Ferrari race team, and went on to really push racing forward. I don't know a ton about racing in general. Richard, I know that you probably are steeped a lot more in the sport of it.
Sure.
He didn't even want to apparently have road legal cars, but he needed the money for it.
Right.
Because, it's expensive to
Race cars.
race cars.
Oh, he wanted to make them up.
He wanted to just do his racing, but it wasn't cost efficient enough, so he eventually had to start creating a Ferrari line of actual race cars.
Oh, he didn't want to make cars.
Yeah, he just wanted to race cars under the team name of Ferrari, or it was called a. You can see how well we research these things. Scuderia Ferrari. And I just find that him as a person, as an antagonistic race car driver, it seems like they're all kind of
Arrogant.
Maybe they're all a little arrogant. Maybe you have to be to get into something that drives 180 miles an hour.
You kind of have to believe that you can cheat death. So why not be able to cheat a lot of other stuff as well?
Yeah. Do you think that is... I don't know. I kind of put him on there because that felt like a very Italian thing, but maybe that feels just very stereotypically Italian. I don't know. Maybe it...
Machismo is not a Dutch word.
Yeah. There's a certain something about the country that, invented democracy and then went out to conquer the rest of the known world.
Yeah.
And then kind of came back upon itself and had to live within its own country and still have to project its own strength that way. But he seemed to have all of that in spades, making enemies within the racing world of Lamborghini. I guess Lamborghini.
Joe Lamborghini.
Joey Jojo Lamborghini. I don't even know who's Lamborghini's first name. Does it matter?
Nope. Nobody
Lambo.
cares.
Lambo Lamborghini. I don't know. I thought he was an interesting modern day Italian character.
Love it. Richard, what do you got?
Okay, so my third choice is a Luigi.
Whoa, okay.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't read all of it. Luigi del Bianco.
Oh, all right.
And he was the chief carver of Mount Rushmore.
Wow.
This feels like a cheat. I love this.
Okay.
So he was basically the right-hand man for our man Gustav Borglum. And he was the person who was actually in charge of doing the chiseling.
Is that right?
Yeah. So his, when you see what actually got carved, it was him and his men. And he was the lead person in charge of this.
Oh, wow.
And he was here's a guy who was his family immigrated to the U.S. when he was like 17. He came over, didn't have a degree, didn't have any sort of training. I mean, that's kind of a fun story that he gets all the way up to this point where he's literally putting this beloved national monument together. And, I didn't want to put an Italian-American on here, but as someone who's the son of Italian-American immigrants, I think telling that immigration story is kind of vital to telling the story of Italy in a lot of ways.
Wait, so he was born in Italy?
Yes.
Okay,
When he immigrated to the U.S. when he was 7.
So yeah.
Yeah. And so he was an immigrant who got this opportunity to be able to do something amazing. And I think that story is a cool story that should be told. Apparently, he's only right now getting the recognition, like by the National Park Service, that his family feel like he probably deserved.
Oh.
So he's starting to get this recognition for how important he was. I mean, literally, there were a couple like Lincoln's lip had got a crack in it at one point, and he had to go fill it in. So he was like, basically plastic surgeon to the stars, except for really giant rock head things. It's just a fun story.
Right on.
I mean, the Mount Rushmore itself isn't such an interesting thing to have to try to carve on such a large scale. I mean, back then they didn't have like radios and headphones. You couldn't just say you couldn't just have some guy up there on there blasting away and someone 2,000 feet away being like, little left. you had to really figure that out and try to understand the rock and to know how it was going to blow apart and carve and
I know.
A little to the right, up a hair.
I'm telling you, from here, it looks like a wiener, not a nose. I know it's a nose. Do you think that was the last time that people from another country have made Americans look good without any thanks? Or do you think that's continued to this very day?
Well,
welcome to the harsh reality, laying down some truths, blowing up your plastic world here at the Mount Rushmore podcast. Okay, there was a similar choice made by Ryan Love, friend of the podcast, with the name Luigi, but not enough similar. Okay, what is your next choice? Your last choice?
My last one is very dear to my heart, very dear to my gut. Raffaele Esposito, the father of modern day pizza.
Oh wow!
This was the man who owned an Italian tavern called
Esposito seems Puerto Rican.
Seems like it.
Okay. He owned what?
A tavern called Pizzeria di Pietro e Basta Corsi. And you have to say it like that. And if you don't...
Sounds mobbed up to me.
You don't say it like that, they come at you with that cutting tool.
Domino's.
Yep.
No, you said it wrong!
He was a pizza maker in the city of Naples. He didn't invent pizza. Pizza kind of existed in a lot of forms before that, obviously, and flatbreads and whatever. He was the one that was invited to make pizza for Queen Margherita of Savoy and King Umberto I. And he made a few different pizzas, 3 different attempts at it, served all of them. But he wanted to do something that was different than the very traditional peasanty, a lot of garlic on top of a pizza. So he invented the Margherita pizza, which had 3 colors of the Italian flag of white for mozzarella cheese, green for basil, and red tomato sauce or tomato.
Wait, so he invented the worst pizza?
Oh, you are out of your mind.
The Margherita pizza?
It's great if you get a good one. I mean,
It seems like the palate cleanser pizza. If you've had pizza once already that week, then you get the Margherita pizza.
This guy's cuckoo. I know I'm losing myself points here, but Jeff is off. Jeff is not fit to serve as judge of anything anymore.
Margherita
We're
pizza.
invoking the 25th podcast amendment.
Yeah.
Oh man.
How many? I think 2/3 need to vote to get him kicked off of being in judge. Let's see if we'll vote.
It's like you see he invented almond brittle or something like that's not the best brittle. Okay, all right.
The point being is that he made this pizza. It became very popular. She enjoyed it, and the word of it spread. He named it the Margherita Pizza after her, and basically the modern pizza was born after that. Traveled across the country, traveled across the seas, and now we get to have pizza whenever we want, thanks to Mr. Esposito.
That's pretty great. Richard, do you have Chef Boyardee? Because that would top that.
Let's see. No Chef Boyardee.
Larry Lasagna?
No Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. None of those.
Okay, what is it?
No Mr. Totino.
Mr. Totino.
My last choice is Sophia Loren.
A stripper named Tiramisu.
Oh, boy.
Sophia Loren.
Yes.
Oh, my God. I almost went with that one.
Yeah.
God, she's so gorgeous.
Still is.
Still.
And she's 85. And
Yeah.
it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And, of course, internationally famous actress, sex symbol,
Yeah.
just general public figure. Mm-hmm. And what a public figure. Am I right, boys?
Whoa.
But also a great actress, an Academy Award winner for Two Women, and really one of the first foreign film stars of that generation to break through. Mm-hmm. I mean, other than like Garbo and a few sort of
And Garbo's German, or what was she?
Swiss.
So I think of Sophia Loren as being a little bit more. She would have been an exotic character in another era of Hollywood.
Right.
Yeah.
And in fact, when kind of she was first contracted, I think, to Columbia, that's what she was playing, was the exotic femme fatale sort of thing. But I just remembered Sophia Loren as being a kid. She was more like a concept than an actual female. Mm-hmm. Like I didn't know exactly why she was famous. I knew it was like this attractive older lady.
Yeah,
and I could kind of get the caricature of those who always had like those big sunglasses on. And so I could tell you exactly what she looked like, what she sounded like. I couldn't tell you why she was famous. Mm-hmm. I just knew that she was.
That's a certain level of fame.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know what you've been in, but everyone knows you.
So you're saying you saw her like she was already a little bit older, and in her appearances, like at the Oscars on the red carpet, they would say Sophia Loren, and she would have those big Irving Swifty Lazar black glasses that Michael Caine and probably Albert Finney already had. So, but we knew she was a movie star.
Right.
Yeah.
And there was something, I think, about her that just projected that as well.
Yeah. I had read that in Grumpy Old Men, one of those films.
I think it's
Grumpier, that they kind of...
Not the prequel,
Slightly
Grumpy
less.
Young Men.
Miffed younger men. Slightly miffed younger men. That they had to add age makeup to her.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They had to make her look older. Like she had been just still so radiant.
Yeah, I was watching the striptease scene from Ready to Wear in prep for this.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, she must have been in her late 60s when she did that? Holy cow.
Yeah. She just hosted a thing for Mary Poppins Returns.
Oh, did she?
Yeah. Like they chose her because I think she's friends with Julie Andrews or Rob Marshall or the director. She's friends with the director.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we were fortunate enough to have some great choices from our competitors, but nothing as good as what Ryan Love, friend of the podcast, submitted. He suggested Michelangelo, not the artist. No, yes, the artist, not the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Artemisia Gentileschi.
Woof. Work on
Yeah.
this before you jet off to Italy.
He suggested Artemisia Gentileschi, a painter of Judith slaying Holofernes. Okay. Galileo. And Galileo.
Okay, I know that one then.
Magnificent.
Usually when I say Galileo, somebody says it again in a higher pitched voice. Galileo. Okay, all right, sorry. Thank you for indulging me. Okay, and tie between Mario and Luigi.
That's cheating.
Yeah, that's cheating. Yeah.
I know.
gotta pick one.
No love for Waluigi, who's clearly the best of all of them.
But we're going to go, you each get 2 points for Leonardo because that was also on Jeff Hopkins' list. And Michael got Marco Polo, Luigi del Bianco goes to Richard, and Sophia Loren Sophia Loren is that winner there.
Richard won that week 9-4.
All right.
Big trouncing.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, golly. Okay.
He cleaned up on the back end. You had a good back nine,
That's
as
good.
they say in the golfing terminology.
I guess I'm going to have coffee since it's for closers.
I gotta add a point for pizza though. One more point. It's just going to go in there.
I'll take it.
I'll take a point for pizza. Okay, this has been...
Hashtag point for pizza. That sounds like a movement you've created.
This has been the Mount Rushmore of Italy. No, this has been the Mount Rushmore of Italians. Ciao, Bella. I'm Jeff.
I'm Richard.
Arrivederci.